November 2025 delivers a cosmic jolt to Taurus, shaking the foundations of identity, relationships, and ambition. A powerful full moon in your sign collides with Pluto's shift into Aquarius, triggering deep emotional revelations and career awakenings. The stars aren't whispering, they're roaring. Are you ready to rise from the tremors? Chapter 1, November 1st to 10th. The Mirror of the Moon. November opens with a quiet intensity, and for Taurus, the first 10 days feel like standing before a mirror that reflects not just your face but your soul. The cosmos begins its work subtly, but the impact is anything but gentle. This is a time of emotional revelation, identity recalibration, and the beginning of a powerful inner shift. On November 2nd, the moon enters Aries, activating your 12th house, the realm of dreams, secrets, and the subconscious. This lunar placement stirs hidden emotions and long-buried thoughts. Taurus may feel a strange restlessness, a sense that something unseen is tugging at the edges of awareness. The usual calm may be replaced by a quiet urgency to understand what lies beneath the surface. This is not a time for action but for observation. The moon in Aries whispers to Taurus, "Look inward before you leap." The energy builds toward a dramatic peak on November 5th, when the full moon in Taurus illuminates your first house of self. This is your lunation, a celestial spotlight on your identity, your body, your presence in the world. Opposing the Scorpio sun in your 7th house of relationships, this full moon creates a tension between self and other, between autonomy and intimacy. Taurus is being asked to examine how you show up in relationships, and whether you've been compromising too much of yourself to maintain peace. This full moon is not gentle. It is clarifying. It reveals where you've been hiding behind roles, expectations, or outdated self-images. You may feel a surge of emotion, not because something is wrong but because something is finally being seen. The moon's light exposes the truth of who you are now, not who you were. It's a moment of reckoning and a chance to reclaim your authenticity. The Scorpio sun adds depth to this process. Scorpio rules transformation, and in your 7th house, it brings intensity to partnerships. Taurus may find that relationship dynamics become more charged, more revealing. Power imbalances, unspoken desires, and emotional truths rise to the surface. This is not a time to avoid confrontation. It's a time to face it with grace and clarity. The full moon offers the courage to speak your truth, even if it shakes the foundation. From November 6th to 10th, Venus in Libra squares Jupiter in Cancer, creating a dynamic tension between your 6th house of daily routines and your 3rd house of communication. Venus seeks harmony and beauty, while Jupiter amplifies emotion and expansion. This square may manifest as a conflict between your desire for peace and your need to express yourself honestly. Taurus may feel pulled between keeping the peace and saying what needs to be said. This aspect also influences your financial and health decisions. Venus in the 6th house encourages refinement of habits, while Jupiter in the 3rd house may tempt you to overextend, emotionally, mentally, or financially. Taurus is advised to be cautious with spending, especially on items or experiences that promise comfort but lack long-term value. The stars favor discernment over indulgence. Mars continues its transit through Scorpio during this period, intensifying your 7th house of relationships. Mars in Scorpio is strategic, passionate, and unafraid of emotional depth. For Taurus, this transit brings a sharper focus to partnerships. You may feel more assertive, more willing to confront issues that have been simmering beneath the surface. This is a time to renegotiate boundaries, clarify intentions, and deepen emotional intimacy, but only with those who are willing to meet you at your level. The moon's waning phase after the full moon adds a layer of emotional release. As the light diminishes, so does the need to hold on to what no longer serves you. Taurus is being guided to let go, not through dramatic gestures but through quiet realizations. This is a time to reflect on your emotional patterns, to identify where you've been reactive rather than intentional, and to begin the process of inner recalibration. This decade also brings a subtle shift in your relationship with power. Scorpio's influence, combined with Mars' presence, brings themes of control, vulnerability, and transformation to the forefront. Taurus may feel a growing awareness of how power dynamics play out in personal and professional relationships. This is not about dominance. It's about understanding the source of your strength and using it wisely. As November 10th approaches, the energy begins to settle. The emotional intensity starts to soften and a sense of clarity emerges. Taurus may feel more grounded, more aware of their emotional landscape, and more prepared to make strategic decisions. The insights gained during this period lay the foundation for the transformative shifts that will unfold in the second decade of the month. This chapter of November is not about external action. It's about internal awakening. The stars are aligning to reveal what's been hidden in your emotions, your values, and your desires. Taurus is being asked to pause, to reflect, and to prepare. The earth beneath you is shifting, but your roots are deep. The mirror has shown you what must change. Now the journey begins. Chapter 2, November 11th to 20th. The depths of transformation. The second decade of November unfolds like a descent into the underworld. Slow, deliberate, and filled with revelations. For Taurus, this is not a time of surface-level change. It is a period of deep internal restructuring, where the foundations of your emotional and relational world are tested, exposed, and redefined. Mars continues its intense journey through Scorpio, activating your 7th house of partnerships. This transit sharpens your awareness of relational dynamics, bringing hidden tensions and unspoken truths to light. Mars in Scorpio does not tolerate superficiality. It demands depth, honesty, and transformation. Taurus may feel a growing urge to confront what's been avoided, not out of anger but out of necessity. The energy is surgical, not explosive. You are being asked to cut away what no longer serves your growth. This influence also intensifies your emotional responses. You may feel more reactive, more sensitive to others' intentions, more aware of subtle shifts in tone and behavior. The 7th house governs not only romantic relationships but also business partnerships and close alliances. Expect a recalibration of boundaries, a reassessment of trust, and a clearer understanding of what you truly need from others. Between November 12th and 15th, the moon wanes through Virgo, activating your 5th house of creativity, pleasure, and self-expression. This lunar phase encourages refinement. Taurus may feel drawn to reorganize, to simplify, to purify. The Virgo moon is meticulous, and its influence helps you identify what's cluttering your emotional and creative space. This is a time to strip away distractions and focus on what brings genuine fulfillment. The waning moon also supports emotional release. As the lunar light diminishes, so does the need to hold on to outdated desires or attachments. Taurus is being guided to let go, not through dramatic gestures but through quiet clarity. The process may feel subtle, but its impact is profound. You are preparing the soil for new growth. On November 19th, a seismic shift occurs. Pluto enters Aquarius, activating your 10th house of career, reputation, and public life. This marks the beginning of a long-term transformation in how you relate to authority, ambition, and your role in the world. Pluto's energy is relentless. It dismantles what is false and rebuilds what is true. For Taurus, this transit initiates a deep restructuring of your professional identity. You may begin to feel a pull toward innovation, leadership, or unconventional paths. The 10th house governs legacy, and Pluto's presence here demands that you define yours with precision and purpose. This is not about chasing success. It's about embodying power. The shift may feel subtle at first, but its implications are vast. The structures you build now will shape your future for years to come. As November 20th arrives, Mercury enters Sagittarius, activating your 8th house of transformation, shared resources, and psychological depth. This transit expands your mental focus, encouraging exploration of taboo topics, financial planning, and emotional healing. Mercury in Sagittarius is bold, curious, and philosophical. Taurus may feel drawn to ask deeper questions, to seek truth beyond appearances, to understand the hidden forces that shape your life. This is an ideal time for introspection, research, and strategic communication. The 8th house governs intimacy and power, both emotional and financial. Mercury's presence here supports conversations that clarify, heal, and empower. Taurus is being asked to speak with intention, to listen with discernment, and to think beyond the immediate. Throughout this decade, the tension between stability and transformation persists. Mars in Scorpio urges emotional depth. Pluto in Aquarius demands structural change. Mercury in Sagittarius expands your awareness. Taurus stands at the intersection of these forces, learning to balance groundedness with evolution. Emotionally, this period may feel intense. Not chaotic but concentrated. You may experience moments of deep clarity followed by waves of uncertainty. This is the nature of transformation. The old must dissolve before the new can emerge. Allow yourself to sit in the in-between. It is fertile ground. Your relationship with control may also shift. The 8th house activation brings themes of surrender, trust, and shared power. Taurus is being asked to examine where you've been holding on too tightly. To people, to outcomes, to identities. The stars favor release, not resistance. Financially, this is a time for strategic planning. The 8th house governs investments, debts, and shared resources. Mercury's presence here supports clarity, negotiation, and long-term thinking. Avoid impulsive decisions. Focus on sustainability, transparency, and empowerment. As the decade closes, the Sun prepares to enter Sagittarius, bringing a new wave of energy. But before that light arrives, Taurus must complete the descent. The stars have led you into the depths not to punish but to empower. What you discover here will shape the path ahead. This chapter is not loud. It does not demand attention. But it holds the keys to your next evolution. Listen closely. Move wisely. The earth beneath you is shifting and your roots are learning to grow deeper than ever before. Chapter 3. November 21st to 30th. Rebirth and bold expression. The final stretch of November arrives with a shift so palpable it feels like stepping into a new dimension. The air changes. The rhythm quickens. The silence that dominated the earlier weeks begins to break. For Aries, this is the moment of emergence. Not from chaos, but from clarity earned through inner excavation. On November 22nd, the Sun enters Sagittarius, igniting your 9th house of expansion, belief, and higher truth. The energy pivots from introspective Scorpio to the fiery optimism of Sagittarius, a fellow fire sign that speaks your language. Bold, direct, and unafraid. Aries begins to feel the pull toward movement. Physical, intellectual, and spiritual. The desire to explore, to speak, to act returns with force. But this time it's not impulsive. It's intentional. This solar shift brings a renewed sense of purpose. The fog of emotional introspection lifts, revealing a horizon that feels both distant and attainable. Aries may feel a surge of confidence, a readiness to take risks, to challenge norms, to break free from constraints that once felt immovable. The cosmos is no longer whispering, it's calling. As the moon wanes through Leo from November 25th to 28th, it forms harmonious aspects with Mars in Scorpio, creating a potent blend of passion and precision. This lunar influence activates your 5th house, the realm of creativity, self-expression, and pleasure. Aries is encouraged to step into the spotlight, to share what has been brewing beneath the surface. The energy is magnetic, but it demands authenticity. This is not about performance, it's about revelation. Mars remains in Scorpio, continuing to fuel your strategic fire. But now, with the Sun in Sagittarius and the Moon in Leo, the internal becomes external. The plans you've been crafting, the truths you've been uncovering, the power you've been reclaiming, they begin to take form. Aries is no longer navigating shadows. You are sculpting light. This period also brings a shift in how you relate to others. The earlier tension in relationships begins to ease, replaced by a desire for connection that is both passionate and honest. Aries may feel more open, more willing to share, more curious about others' perspectives. The fire within you seeks reflection, not in solitude but in dialogue. On November 30th, the new moon in Sagittarius marks a powerful reset. This lunation activates your 9th house once again, reinforcing themes of expansion, learning, and spiritual growth. New moons are seeds, and this one is infused with the energy of vision. Aries is being asked to set intentions not just for the month ahead, but for the journey that begins now. What do you believe in? What truth do you want to live by? What path calls to you even if it defies logic? This new moon is not quiet. It carries the momentum of fire, the promise of movement, the thrill of possibility. Aries is being offered a doorway not to escape but to evolve. The choices made now will ripple into the coming year. The clarity gained during the earlier weeks becomes the foundation for bold decisions, for leaps of faith, for declarations that cannot be taken back. Mercury continues its transit through Sagittarius, amplifying your voice and expanding your thoughts. Communication becomes a tool of liberation. Aries may feel compelled to speak truths that have long been buried, to challenge outdated beliefs, to share ideas that once felt too radical. The cosmos supports this, but it also cautions. Speak with purpose, not just volume. This is a time when your words can inspire, provoke, or transform. Use them wisely. The ninth house influence encourages philosophical exploration, travel, and learning. Aries may feel drawn to new cultures, new teachings, new paradigms. The familiar no longer satisfies. The unknown beckons. Emotionally, this period brings a sense of release. The intensity of Scorpio gives way to the buoyancy of Sagittarius. Aries begins to feel lighter, more hopeful, more aligned with the future than the past. But this is not naive optimism. It is earned clarity. You faced the shadows. Now you walk in light. Financially, the energy supports expansion, but with discernment. The earlier lessons around value and control remain relevant. Aries is encouraged to invest in ideas, in experiences, in growth, but not to abandon caution. The fire of Sagittarius can burn bright, but it must be directed. Impulse is tempting. Strategy is wiser. As the month closes, the planetary alignments suggest a turning point. Aries is no longer reacting. You are creating. The energy is not about survival. It is about expression. The cosmos has stripped away what was false. What remains is your essence, raw, refined, and ready. This chapter is a celebration of rebirth. Not dramatic, not chaotic, but profound. Aries emerges not as a warrior in battle, but as a visionary with purpose. The stars have shifted. The path is open. And the fire within you is no longer seeking. It is leading. As November closes, Aries stands reborn, refined by shadow, ignited by vision. The stars have stripped away illusion, revealing purpose beneath impulse. What lies ahead is not a continuation, but a new beginning. The fire within you no longer seeks direction. It becomes it. The cosmos has spoken. Now you lead.